pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See if we could make short work of this tonight. Hey, Joe is Spagnola is not coming. He's not feeling well.
There's really nothing important from his department, and he will, anything that he has, he'll report at next meeting. But right now, there's nothing to.
Lois, you want to give us your report?
Sure. Normal bank reconciliations have been completed for April. I started working on these. I see I did a typo there. I've provided you with the current Bank of Millburn balances as well as the New York class ending report. Transfer station invoicing and receipts are posted. The monthly revenue from the Justice Court has been received from May, as well as the building departments and the town clerk's name reports. The New York class accounts have been set up, and I've transferred some of the funds from the Bank of Millburn accounts to New York class. I've provided the board again with New York class statement ending 5/31 and the balances as of yesterday. I'd like to report even since yesterday we gained interest. So, year to date, since it's been almost exactly a month, we've earned $6,200 in interest. That doesn't even really include the ban that we transferred in there. So that'll. I'm requesting, I don't know if you need a resolution or the board to authorize the use of the Vincent Terletti's trust account funds for the emergency road work that the parking crew performed by J.P. Woods. I guess Steve Terletti's had told Mike that we could use some of those funds for that.
Right.
And I'm not sure of the procedure of, do we need to make a resolution or
Probably wouldn't hurt
not?
to make it official.
Is Steve a trustee for that? Is that right? So he can.
Well, how much was it, Gary? You said
It was $12,000.
Yes,
for the well.
But he's a trustee for the.
There's 19 approximately
Okay,
in
so that's all we need.
I'll make the
Second it.
money's from the Terletti's fund allocated or approved that they were allocated for the use of emergency care.
Bob, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
This month I've provided the board with a fund balance report. This week showing what our fund balance is in each fund. And I've also included under a fund, a list of projects or purchases that would be using fund balance, and that would lower our fund balance because our fund balance is over our fund balance policy. So we really, one of the things the state said was to use some of that money. So it's just an estimate, it'll bring it down. Obviously, we don't have to do any of these projects, maybe till the end of the year to make sure that we're still, in good shape there. But,
Is that in this report? That's in this
it's
packet?
attached
Okay.
to an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
And then I don't have it on my report, but there are budget amendments attached. The first amendment was to cover the cost of the band interest, proposing to move the money from the B fund, which is a large fund balance, to the highway. The expenditure came out of highway.
Mhm.
So this would provide highway with that income back. there. The marathon insurance, proceeds came in, and that's just to increase the revenue line and the expenditure line. And then the amendment to, acknowledge the receipt of the compost and toilet grant money, the balance in the second half. Again, that increases that revenue line to increase that expenditure line. And then here is the amendment to recognize the funds transferred from the Vincent Terletti's trust to the expenditure line. Again, it's an income and an expenditure increase.
That's the last one, $12,000.
Yes, yeah.
So we need to
Make a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget amendments as they were.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Thank you, Les.
And that's in my report.
All right, Real good.
Can I get a copy of the fund balance analysis?
Sure.
Thanks.
I don't know, maybe.
Danielle,
Okay, the toddler program ends tomorrow, and we are full for next year's program. The CDBG grant, the work is almost finished, there's a small punch list for Skylar to finish up, and then we'll be good. We're getting payment paperwork in, which is a lot. And then we can then finally pay, and then the county will pay us. The MAKE grant, we applied for, we will get results in July for that. Hopefully, we can do more improvements on the building for the seniors, which would be putting another bathroom in to the park building, a new kitchen, changing the door out, taking the other garage door out and making that just a wall so that we can have movie nights, cabinetry, all kinds of good stuff happening. So again, that's in July that we'll find out the results of that. Our summer hiring, lifeguards, there are 14 in total. 5 guards are 18 or older. 5 are between the ages of 16 and 17, and 4 are 15. Just a reminder for everybody that in order to have the park open, we have to have at least an 18-year-old there at all times. So
So do you have enough 18-year-olds?
there's 5 of them.
Yeah.
So I think we're in really good shape, especially in your classroom.
Yeah, good.
Our seniors, we have our Lake George trip scheduled for July 19th. We right now have 27 registered residents and 6 non-registered or non-residents. The price on that is $10 for residents, $63 for non-residents. We're also going to the world-class Catskill Resort on August 19th. There's 27 residents going, and for non-residents, the pricing on that is 10 for residents and 35 for non-residents. The senior lunch is Friday, June 20th at noon, and that will take place at the Town of Washington building, the meetings building. That's for residents only, and so far 35 people are registered to go, but people do show up without registering, so. We cap out at 50.
Who's catering it?
Huh?
Who caters it?
Actually, Matt Purcell's wife. She's also a chef. And it's going to be fried chicken, sausage and peppers, macaroni salad, cornbread, and dessert.
Making me hungry.
You might want to go, huh? We have a Yankee trip on Saturday, June 28th. It's $150 and includes the bus trip, the tickets, and 90 minutes worth of food. The game is against the A's, and we meet here at Town Hall at 9 o'clock, and we'll be back in town by 7.
when is it?
That is not this Sunday, but the next Sunday, the 28th. We have some after camp programs. But before that, there's camp training this coming Tuesday, June 19th. We also have basketball and art and a program with Trout Unlimited that we're offering after camp. The park is now open on weekends, and that is from 11 to 7 on weekends. Starting June 30th, we will be open 7 days a week. The day pass for residents is $6, non-residents is $8, seniors are $5, non-residents seniors is $7. Pool passes will be available until mid-July. So far, we have 12 family pool passes that we've sold, 1 adult pass, and 7 senior passes. Last year, Gary asked if we could possibly have the pool open on Juneteenth. I have asked the lifeguards, and we do have enough lifeguards to be open Juneteenth, so I'll advertise for that.
Right.
It's supposed to be a
Thank
pretty
you.
nice day. Elm Drive is coming to the park tomorrow, and they will have like a blowout day for their first graders, and 2 next graders will be there. Dover's fifth grade class will be using the park and pool on Monday, June 16th. 100 fifth graders will be there from 9:30 to 1:30. We have 16 facility rentals so far this year, and the septic system job is complete. We have received the certificate of approval from the engineer.
Thank you. Very good.
Oh, before you, I'm sorry, we do have some estimates that possibly look after estimates for irrigation in here
Yeah,
and for the roof for the park.
Lois, the last estimate you got on the air conditioning, I didn't see any person's name or phone number. The name of the business is there, but I would like to question him on a couple of items.
He's the one that did all the work at the park on our basis there.
Right, so if you could give me that tomorrow, I would like to call him, because he's given us an estimate of $2,900. But it's kind of open-ended, it just says he's gonna,
He's gonna test
evacuate.
the line to see where the leaks are, he's gonna repair the leak, and then he's going to put the Freon, or whatever is replacing Freon now.
I know, but it doesn't say that fee covers whatever the repair is. We're
Okay,
trying
I'll
to-
forward you some.
Yeah, and I'll call him, because he might be the guy to take a look at it. I mean, just so everybody knows, I mean, these systems are old, but the biggest problem is that the lines go from out front, in the basement, up through the walls, and to the air handler, which is above the ceiling in that little office, and then it pumps the air in here. So there's a lot of lines that could be leaking. Yet, the system is not totally out of Freon, so it's not a huge leak, it's a small leak. And we've put Freon in it, a couple times before, right?
Yeah.
Right, and it worked for quite a while. So I'm guessing that would be the route to go if his $2,900 includes repairing the leak, unless it's an evaporator or the compressor itself. But, it's a pretty simple system. You evacuate it, you put a vacuum on the system, then you pump it up full of Freon, you go around with a little Geiger counter to all the lines until you find where it's a sniffer, it sniffs the Freon and beeps, and you can find the leak. And then if it's a line, you can cut it and repair it.
yeah,
This
Okay.
estimate is just for charging it and finding the leak, no repairs.
That doesn't say that.
It says repairs can then be assessed
right.
with a conclusion of the leak detection.
Okay. So that's the way you read it. Yeah. So it seems like a lot of money just to charge up the system and find the leak.
The
So,
other one, the other one there is more expensive. It's
Yeah.
anywhere between
but it also says pricing is subject to change anytime after 15 days. 15 days from when?
Right, from when he
Yeah.
put the figure.
June 2nd.
But I'd like to talk to the guy, and then we'll get it done.
Is that what it means?
I mean,
This is a different-
do we need to vote on it tonight? Can we Is that something that we need to?
I don't think we need to vote on it, you guys just have to make a decision.
Right.
First.
Right. So I'll call him tomorrow and, go from there.
Okay.
Because I mean, if we can get another few years out of that, we could put a new system in the budget,
Right.
for the future and get a nice new system. I'll do that in the morning.
Good, thanks. So Jonathan isn't here. Does anybody have any questions about his report?
No, I read it.
Yeah.
Fairly busy.
He's been busy, yeah. Yeah.
My only question would be between Jonathan and Kyle. We handled the response with solar fields,
It's the prelude to that.
building inspector.
Okay,
And after the last meeting, you said that you were gonna look into all of that and then reach out to, well, our next step has to be with the solar field.
okay,
That's true.
I'll follow up on
Couple of seniors.
Yep.
Can I also, while we're at it,
that. Oh, is this pertaining to, I did, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
you, you met with him on a Tuesday, right?
I did,
Yes.
I spoke with them, thank you for, spoke with them, spoke with Jonathan, he actually came to my office, we went through a number of matters. And he issued an order of remedy, and I advised their attorney that the order of remedy's been issued along with the letter. We have to give them that period of time, and then if they don't comply within that certain period of time, then we're gonna need to discuss at the next meeting, we, the town board, how the board chooses to enforce the order and the options that we have.
So the couple has been communicated to. Correct.
Yes, their attorney, I can't communicate, but
They were here the last.
they were here, and I spoke to his attorney, I emailed his attorney, and I provided their attorney copies of the order of remedy
Good.
and a copy of the letter that was also sent to.
How much time do they have, roughly?
It's probably, I think the order of remedy is 30 days, so between now and the next meeting, the time's going to expire.
So I have another question while we're at it. The Adgard Stanford Road.
So on that, the issue that we need to discuss dealt with the escrow situation.
Yes,
I prefer to do that in attorney.
okay.
I have to discuss that.
Lisa's not here. Tony, welcome.
Thank you, Barry.
It's actually been a very busy month, I think, because of the nice weather, other than the rain. A lot of people are leaving their dogs out on, at quite a few, calls on dogs roaming around. Luckily, we haven't had to seize any for the town, so, we haven't had to house any at each bars, which is good. They've all been returned home by local residents, just through the internet, finding donors, a couple hours usually. Somebody notices, recognizes the dog, which Facebook and everything is a great resource for that.
Yeah,
It's really,
Yeah, sure. is.
really made my job a lot easier.
Yep.
That's good. As far as I brought up the spay neuter program for the town, that's looking like it's gonna be extended down the road. Because a lot of other townships are doing it right now, but we're looking towards through HVARs, probably looking towards the end of October. And, in communication with, New York State Ags and Markets, they recommended that we use it as a resource as well to get some licensing done. Include that, so hopefully we can get some some licenses done on animals that are brought in that may not be currently licensed at the same time. And, again, there would be no cost to the town, actually be brought in revenue. So, that's a good thing. I'm looking forward to planning that out. Sam with each part is great. She's pretty much in charge now. And we're working together to try and figure out a date for that. I'll keep the board
Appreciate that.
and educated on what's going on with that. Other than that, we've had a lot of calls in the past month for what people think are rabid raccoons. This is the birthing season for raccoons, and just like any new mother, they're going to be beat up and tired. They're looking disheveled, so they're out during the day. So I recommend if anyone gets calls on it, you pretty much just leave the animal alone unless the animal is fighting inanimate objects, going after trees or car tires. We're trying to just leave it. The rabies numbers are way down this year, which is good. So that's really all I have.
How's our dogs you find? Are they all licensed?
Not always.
So our licensing system is working, or do we have to, again, maybe regenerate to the public that you have to license your animal?
I get quite a few. Most people are pretty good. I get quite a few calls from people who are just asking how to license their dogs. We don't really pursue it a whole lot. Every once in a while, I'll go through the list and call people who are expired. Most of the times because the animal's deceased and they just don't follow up on it. We could probably do for going through our list of licensed animals. However, without doing an enumeration, which is a lot of work, it's hard to kind of figure out who might not be licensed. If somebody's already licensed their animal, they're usually pretty good about redoing it.
Chrissy, do we find a lot of walk-ins to get licensing?
Yes, and we send out renewal notices monthly.
So I know this came up one time
Yeah.
when we were all campaigning the number of dogs that we rated to.
Yeah.
Every door you knock.
We did a push.
dog.
It was amazing how many weren't licensed.
And a lot of people take their dogs to dog parks now, and you have to be licensed.
Oh, good.
So that's force people to get the dogs licensed.
You could tell them the story of our $9,000 dog.
I know.
Boy,
Maybe Doug never heard of it. I'll bring up this stuff. But you know, people don't understand, but it's a very good thing to license your dog.
It's very good, especially for dogs that are allowed to go outside.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have dogs that never even leave the house. You know, they're little tiny dogs that stay inside all day long, and that's, you know, not a huge problem for us, although it would be nice to have a license for the income for the town. However, where it really matters is if the dog's running or the dog gets into a fight with another dog, you're able to identify the owner right away and find out if it's vaccinated, and, you know, if we do seize a dog or get a call for a dog and I'm involved, they have to prove that it's licensed before they get the animal back to them. Or if it's not licensed, then they have to get the license.
Another new thing too is technology has improved so that you can actually get collars now that can track the dog. If the
Oh, yeah.
dog takes off and is running.
Yeah.
You can find it. We had that on Orchard the other night. Nice big, beautiful dog took off. It was running a deer and they finally found it.
We actually have that in the livestock industry. They can put trackers on the cows and they see how much of the pasture they use and how many miles they're walking in a day. It's pretty cool. Yeah, the next step is actually going to be like virtual fence. They're gonna limit them like radio collars.
Wow.
You got one of those for you?
You get many people call about the bear situation around here?
All the time,
Yeah,
all the time. You know, it's typically just people, if they leave their garbage out, leave their bird feeders up this time of year, you should go, there's just gonna be there. So,
There's two on the horseshoe.
There's one up in Evansville recently, right?
today there was one.
Well, up there today. too.
Okay, thanks, Tony. I appreciate that. Lisa, do you want to give us your report?
Oh, sure. So, the rules complete, available, online and in our office and in the clerk's office. The final rule book will be coming out, July 1st. And also available for public review. That will be available also online. So all the links for tentative then switch over to final at that time online with the county. But the links will be on our website. All the information is on our website, on the main page and also on our assessor page. For that information. Grievance day, we ended up having 37 submissions, which is higher than we normally have, but 2 of those were clumped together with like 5. And a lot of them are the agriculture exemptions, which I told you we really crack down on people turning stuff in timely, and their supporting documentation also. So that's, buttoned up and followed, according to the way the state wants it to be done. So some people had a few years in a row now that maybe eventually will. But yes, that's why that number's kind of trumped up a bit. So I'd say the load for the most part was a typical year, which what we've had during COVID. So, all right. So data collector job, we did post that this week. I am getting resumes in, so I'm reviewing those and probably continue collecting them for a while and see. So if you know anybody's in real estate business or appraiser that's retired wants a part-time job, ask, I don't know that we are looking. It's 15 hours a week. It's kind of a set schedule with flexibility in that time. Sales are light the last couple of months. We don't have any for the month of April in the village, and we had 2 outside the village. Site reviews, I did 12. This is a busy time. There's a lot of other stuff going on for grievance day. So I'm looking at a lot of the properties being reviewed, but it's not actually considered a review. The roll is actually closed at this point. We cannot make changes at this point anyway. So basically, we just kind of have to log everything that needs to get done for the 2026 roll year. So it's going to be probably another month. So we kind of have to set everything aside and make lots of notes for what needs to get done as soon as they open that new roll year. And then data collection, my total did 8 and then 10 sites. So any questions for me?
That's 8 in village and 10 in the town. What is 8 and 10?
Oh, well, I think they're all in the town, because Claire was the one pretty much that was doing the village.
Oh, okay.
I may have had him do actually one of the village sites. I can't remember.
So what is 8 and 10?
So the 8 is the parcels. Sorry, it's noted on there. 8 is always the parcels, and 10 is the sites.
Okay.
Because we can have properties that have 5 sites on them. So those obviously take a lot more work. So that's why I differentiate the 2.
Thanks.
Yes.
For sales, is there a lag time between when a buyer of a property closes and you find out about the sale? Is there like a monthly lag time, or how's that work?
Well, that's why I don't really give you the numbers too quickly. Like for May, I would not report numbers to you yet because it's too premature.
Because you're saying sales in April outside the village was 2.
Right.
I've got 2 that sold on the horseshoe, but I don't know if they're reflected in April or they're reflected in May.
Right. Well, we do it by the date that's in the system, but it's always possible that an attorney could hold on to the recording documents. And then I could end up missing that in accounts.
So when that sales occurs, I go into, I'm buying a property, I go to my lawyer, they have their lawyer, we do the closing.
Right.
Is that the date that they send to you that it occurred
That's the date that's recorded on file, yes.
of sale?
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it gets recorded with the county right away. Ideally, in a perfect world, you would want it done right away.
So there's always a possibility of lag time.
There could be. I don't think it happens as often. I think that they, they
So we
want.
shouldn't judge these numbers as the trend in the marketplace. In other words,
Well-
sales, that seems like flat sales.
Yeah, I think you can use it. Again, I think it'd be rare that, there's one or here and there that could be missing
Okay.
because of the attorneys waiting to file, but
Okay.
the title companies, the banks, they want that stuff done immediately. So it just
Okay.
depends on the nature of the sale.
Okay.
If it's
Thank you.
possible, yeah. Does that make sense? Okay.
So the,
That's why I give you an extra month. I report another lag of another month because there are still some that will be showing up for May. Even though I can run the reports for May, I know it's not going to be finalized. So anyway, so once it gets reported to the county, then it goes to real property, then it comes to my office.
Do you find that the sales are starting to creep up in the market? Are people getting more for their properties now, or is it flat again?
Our equalization rate went up. Since then, I think it's still going up a little maybe, but not a lot.
Okay.
I mean, if
The
you
problem
scan
is-
the real estate ads, it's going up.
It does seem like it's still
It's
going
going
up.
up.
It's not- The reason it's still going up is there's no inventory. But people are slashing prices.
Yeah,
So
there's,
people go either two routes on
I
the
haven't
list.
seen it
Yeah,
around.
they either list low and create a bidding war, or they shoot high and then they end up lowering it. So it's those are the two tactics I
And
hear
you
that
get
are
into the bidding war sometimes too.
right. And I see it all the time when I'm looking for comps. I see that and I can tell just by looking at the listing what direction they were going. There's no inventory. That's why you're seeing light numbers. I think the numbers would be much higher if we had the inventory. There's just no inventory.
So at the last meeting, I think, was that the final assessed value for the
Yes.
year?
Well, that was at that date, but I didn't actually give you updated numbers yet. I was kind
Waiting
of
for the,
hoping to, but we still have not finished deliberation with the
that's what I
board.
mean.
We're finishing tomorrow night at
Okay.
5. So for the next meeting, I will give you those numbers because we have to give a reasonable amount of time for the owners to follow up with documentation. We need to deliberate.
And this 37 you said is above typical. Is that surprising to you that people are appealing at that number? You said 37?
That number seems inflated only because we had 2 groups of 5 just with ads. So alone, there were just 2 people that had 10 of those in that count. So that would immediately bring you down.
Individuals or corporate?
One was an individual and one was a gun club. So that's a business, yeah. So, or I think they're nonprofit, aren't they? Are they businesses or are they
They
nonprofit?
could be.
Yeah, they're both, okay.
Gun club, could that be enough?
Probably not, unless there's an educational aspect to it.
We got well educated on needles. You know what they are. So yes, we got it, yes. I know what. You're welcome.
Any
And so next month I'll give you those numbers.
my usual monthly question. Getting,
Stuff from the village. Well, I gave actually a list of everything that is outstanding going back to as far as I have it on record for what is outstanding. It was never closed out with the village. So I gave that to Peter and there's a list of about 50 permits on that, but they go back to like 2020, some of them. So some of them maybe have never been done, some of them maybe were, we never got the paperwork, but they've been sitting on my spreadsheet for a while, but, majority of them are, within the last couple of years, but, so he's, passed that along to Justin, I think, is who's handling a lot of that, legacy of stuff for us, so, and he's been very responsive.
Is it better since I went to the office and met with them and we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely more dialogue, I just think that it's a limited number of hours, but I think having Justin in there is helping us. I know he's been there for a while, but I'm not sure if he's taking on more hours now, or if he's just, I'm not sure how that's for me, but we, you know, it's been going a little smoother, so that's good.
Thanks, Lisa.
Absolutely.
Let's see Brian next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, he was asking.
He got a lot. Right?
The one on Reservoir also came off the market. I think it might have sold too. Which I wish-
The big one on eight.
Cat
so-
house.
What was that? Cat house, yeah.
Attractiveness or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's,
one on eight just sold recently.
Yeah, there's quite a few recently that come on, so
Yeah.
that's good. It's picking up.
Okay. Chrissy, you want to do the shooting?
Chrissy, I apologize. I didn't see number 2 and 4. I wouldn't have asked you that question.
Yeah,
Oh,
about the dog, yeah.
okay, so the 2025 tax collection, as of June 2nd is complete. We're working on reconciling with the county. Marriage licenses, we issued 2 for the month of May for $40. Revenue, dog licenses, 24 for $185. Transfer station, this is a big month for transfer station permits. 124 for $6,755, and punch cards for $4,312. Genealogy and vital records, 2 at $40. Hunting and fishing, we did 14 licenses at $94.47 for a total revenue of $11,426.47, which is not
Wow.
normal except when we're reissuing the permits for the transfer
Yeah.
station. And the town clerk's office is sending out the public hearing notices to the residents of Killawn Road for the Killawn Road resurfacing project. So we'll get those out and
Great.
that's it for
Good.
me. Oh, and I just wanted to, make one more thing. Natalie did a great job with tax collection and tax reconciliation. It was wonderful. She just wanted to put it out there that she did a great job.
Good girl. Okay, Mike.
On the court reports, the revenue piece, I'll report on next month. We're still working on those reports. As far as the court clerk, the new hire, McKenna, what's McKenna's last name?
Diatori.
Diatori started the day before court was due, so she had to help her come in and walk her through the court. I met with her afterwards. She said it went very, very smoothly. This is the only court she's doing, and the judge is very pleased with the transition that's taking place. So we're getting some records corrected and the use of files, cabinets, and so on. So she seems to be settling in quite nicely. Peek in, she doesn't use lights or anything. She just works off her
Yeah.
computer, so you don't know if she's here or not, but she's here. And her hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Mhm.
At the last monthly meeting, the board approved the formation of a strategic planning committee for recreation. I'm pleased to report that 11 citizens have volunteered to be on that committee. I'll run quickly through the names. David Whalen, who is a former full-time rec director here in the town of Washington, became the athletic director of the culinary. He now works for the county. He'll be on the committee. George Whalen at the bank. We want someone that would look at finances and be able to do outcomes. Skylar Woods, contractor. Jessica Dickinson, who has background in PR, marketing, and recreation. She'll be on the committee. Heather Blake Key, who's a landscape architect, to help us look at some of the contours and the woods, trees that are up in that area. Jennifer Busgarden, the community member, had worked at the pool as a high school student, and she's the wife of the police chief, fire chief. But she also has children appropriate age, so we've got her on to take a look prospectively from a child's point of view of what's needed up there. Michael Schultz, another contractor, need a serious look at infrastructure and so on. Patrick Murphy, looking at the land contours, drainage, handling the waters that are up there. Brian Kelly, similarly, Brian runs the club, works on the greens, the water, the ponds, and so on. And then Bob and I will be co-chairing that. Danielle will be on the committee as information purposes. And Aaron Fox, who's been helping out in the office, we asked her to help us with the audiovisual presentations. I want to thank Michael upstairs, who did a drone video of the site for us that we're going to use at our meeting. And we've taken several photos of particularly the infrastructure so that those that are on the committee get a look at what we're talking about. And just for information to the community, that property was given to the town in April of 1930. And we have some plot information. I've also spoken to a local real estate agent to try and give us what the kind of monetary value of that piece of property is. We want to get the exact acreage. And then the committee is going to meet on the 23rd for their first information. And what we're looking at is forming subcommittees that will be given tasks to go out the entire property and give us feedback. And here's some of the things they're going to be looking at. We're going to look at an in-depth comprehensive inspection and analysis of the following: structures, infrastructure, land use, natural resources, roadways and pedestrian walkways, park access, site safety, security, signage, parking, public relations, and marketing. And then we're going to break that into 7 phases over probably 4 to 5 months. And then we will come back with recommendations and observations. And then we will also be looking through PR to do something where we can both educate the community in what we're doing and getting feedback from the community. This is not about program. It's about modernizing that site up there so that, number one, people want to go back to it, but also what are the possibilities of use of that property to compare with other communities. Take a serious look at the waterfront, but also look at the buildings, look at all of the amenities, and what's the potential up there, and develop for you. Here's what a possible 2-year project could be, a 5-year project, and a 10-year project. So we'll have our first meeting on the 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're very enthused about it. And also, the word has gotten out, of course, throughout the public already. And one that has stopped me is saying, thank God we're looking at that, because through no one's fault, it's just gotten worse. Yeah. And we're also looking at the village gym. I've met with the mayor and Patrick being on the board, Patrick Murphy, being a council or a trustee of the village. He will be our liaison to the village. We're going to look at the gym and what possibilities we have there for recreation. And unfortunately, the misnomer of recreation has filtered into, oh, it's just sports. It's just for kids. That's not really what recreation needs to be. And that's what we're going to look at.
Sure, it should be totally inclusive.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
To tell you the
Yeah,
truth.
for sure. Okay, thanks, man.
Maybe we should put a casino in it.
Do that.
Just an update to the board. We have a complaint from a resident on Little Rest that there are a couple of dead trees in the woods that we own the property and they might look like they could fall on our house. So Joe was supposed to get back to me, but he hasn't yet. I think they're small, they're tall, but they're not big, huge trees. They're not big around. So I think it's something the highway guys can take care of. I'm hoping that we can get it done. Even the ones in the woods, even if we had to, don't cut them all the way down, even just top them for now, so that there's nothing can reach her house. So I'll be talking to her to let her know that we're working on it. I was gonna ask Kyle about the bad construction bonds, if there's any.
I have not heard any updates on that since last time. So I'll take it further, look into it, and let you know if there's anything since the last.
Okay, no, we haven't, our previous council told us to wait till we signed the contract with the new builder. And then we were gonna go after the bonds for all the expense we went through. So what we need to know is when and how do we do that?
I have file, we don't look at it.
Okay. And the other thing is, getting back to Mike and the park. I've been looking at other communities and how they pay for upgrading their recreation areas, their parks and stuff. And a lot of them have a conveyance or a transfer tax. We have a tax that goes to recreation only on subdivisions. So when people subdivide something, there's a certain amount that goes towards recreation. So I'm going to put into motion and look and a little further, maybe go to some towns and see how they do it. Kingston does it, Rhinebeck does it, Esopus, Ulster County does it. There's a whole bunch of communities that have fees related to building improvements, where there's a small fee for recreation that will go directly to help us pay for some of the updates that we're going to need at our push. So I'll be looking at that and report to you next meeting.
When you look into that, could you look into see, once there is a tax like that, is there still a charge for residents to go to the park?
In most communities there are. Also, the,
Well, our fee for community residents is very limited.
our phase, one of our phases is to look at funding. There are several communities in state and out of state that the legislator can give us some help on this. Where, as a resident of that community, there's a 0.015 or 0.005 attached to your taxing system. And that becomes restricted just for the use of recreation. Or somebody builds a new house, you get a flat $500 on top of that goes directly to recreation. And that builds up that fund. And then the fees, depending on the community, some have multiple parks, so you get a pass for $50 a year, you're allowed to go to a pass, or you pay daily entry. So there's ways of, we'll research all of that and give it to the board and let the board decide what type do you want to.
So just for instance, in California, it's a gas tax. Goes to open space and a type of recreation. So I think it's almost $1.25 a gallon because their gas is, last time I was out there in April, $5.28 a gallon is the least amount that I saw for gasoline in California. $5.28 a gallon.
And some of those methods are determined by a state legislature. But in some states, the locals can, working with either the county government or locally, they can pass certain things. But we'll have to do a lot of research on that to see if it's applicable and appropriate for New York State.
A lot of those communities in California, they have quite a bit of open space in different areas of the community and parks that have, pavilions and maybe rec building, things like that, soccer fields. So it's, there's different ways to pay for things. We're going to just see how we can do it. Transfer station. I've been working with Jimmy Brownell. He's on vacation this week. And with Royal Karting. We were going to have a meeting tomorrow, but Jimmy's on vacation. So we're going to postpone that till he gets back next week. Royal Karting said they would come to the transfer station. Lois gave me a bill, a transfer station bill, and I'm going to review that with him. I reviewed it on the phone with the accountant down there, but then I had a lot of questions. We have two containers up there. One is a roll-off container that they put newspaper in, I think, and another one is for electronic stuff or something, but we've been renting them for a long, long time. The containers used in really good condition to be brought on site are like $2,900 a piece. And I think we've paid a lot of money in rent.
over the
for these kinds of containers. $200 for one, the roll-off one, and $108 for the other one. And I'm gonna ask them, can they gift them to us, or do we need to go buy our own?
Is that per year or per month? The fee,
The fee to buy one?
no,
No.
the fees they're charging us.
Per month.
2 years.
2 years?
2.5 years.
Yeah, I'm talking about the landfill. I'm gonna try to meet with the fire chief and any of the staff at the fire department. It's been going on now for about 3 years, 4 years, where they have gotten a grant to put a training unit on the old property in front of the transfer station, the old Tedesco house. And the Tedesco house is falling down little by little, and it's overgrown with vines. So we haven't had any complaints about it, but it's kind of disgusting that we have that on our property.
I'm the closest neighbor to it.
And you are the closest neighbor. And they do use the property for cutting up cars and doing car rescue and stuff like that there. It's pretty hidden from anything. I don't think they bother anybody.
If they're lighting cars and extinguishing them and doing it for new trainees, there's a lot of smoke, but they're really good about letting me know ahead of time. We try not to have any
Yeah.
animals right
Yeah.
there, so it's
So
Never been an issue.
they've postponed it a few times, and I'm gonna try to lean on them and let's get it done. I had done a lot of the work. It's gotta be remediated before they tear it down. They wanna leave the foundation and put it's really just a couple containers that they put on top, bolt them together, and they have different rooms and windows and things like that, where they practice fire and rescue.
at what point in the decomposition of the building do they no longer have to do remediation?
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I met with Dominic, if you want me to jump in.
Sure.
If you don't want me to jump in, I
No,
understand.
jump right in.
Part of the delay was getting the house looked at by a person who does remediation and assessing where the asbestos was, if any. The test came back, there's no asbestos in the house. The house can be now taken down. The county, last month, we passed a resolution releasing the funds, which means the project is moving forward.
Good.
So the biggest thing was the asbestos and finding a company to come out and do the analysis. So they got the news that there's no asbestos. So the project is moving forward. I mean, I obviously encourage you to still meet with them because they have a timeline better than mine. But the county did pass a resolution on 3 of those different, because that was a MIG grant that we gave out like 3 years ago.
Right.
And we've been really encouraging the fire departments to get them moving because we're gonna.
There's no expiration date on it.
I mean,
It's 3 years old. We've been talking about this for 3 years.
Right.
My next question was gonna be, when is
when
the
did we lose
deadline?
the money? So we used the county used ARPA dollars to fund those projects. We had to close out ARPA, as you all know.
Yes.
What we did was we put all the ARPA dollars towards education, hence we fund Dutchess Community College.
Yeah.
And any projects that we had in ARPA dollars that had not been spent, we put into fund balance for a community benefit fund. So all those projects are in our fund balance for community benefit. But obviously, we want to get that money out in the communities for the reasons that we funded the grants.
Right.
But Millbrook was one of the 3 projects that we released funds for this year to be used. So we do
Okay.
anticipate that project being completed and funded at the end of 2025.
End of this year, okay.
So I guess the only other part of this is, now that maybe it's gonna come to petition, is Kyle, we would like you to let us know what kind of agreement do we need with the fire department to kind of hold us harmless, and allow them the use of our property that we have been letting them use, without any formal agreement. But I think once they start, doing more training there, we probably should have some sort of agreement.
Yeah, that's not difficult, we can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
We would want, the whole harmless will want indemnification, and we'll also probably want some insurance, to, the town is insured. So, someone wants to shoot me some particulars, as to what they'd like to see in the agreement, I can draft it up for you.
Well, I mean, basically, they're gonna, I don't think we need anything specific in the agreement, whatever you think is viable for the town to protect ourselves.
Just mean like in terms of whatever, is it just
Location and
location
That kind of
use?
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I could send you that.
That would be
Yeah,
Year round, they use it year round.
well, they could possibly use it year round, yes.
why not?
And then the last thing on my agenda is, I would like to start the process to change our Hamlet mixed-use law in the Hamlet mixed-use area, and I would like you to maybe formulate some for us, steps that we need to take to do that, and then we can start having conversation.
sure, you're not looking to actually change, are you looking to change, the right, the specifics of regulations in terms of, or is it something?
Well, basically, I could send it to you, but there's a specific phrasing in the law that you can't have any commercial growth at all unless you have twice as much residential growth.
Yeah.
And we have properties up there sitting vacant for years and years because there cannot be any residential growth up there unless we turn our park into a housing complex.
Correct.
So,
So if you want to, send me the specifics. of
yeah,
it.
I will.
Then what we'll do is we'll, bunch up what we need to do to, circulate, draft local law, because you're gonna have to amend the local law. And I'll also give you the steps that you have to go through.
Yeah, great. I'd like to get rolling on that. And the transfer station, we will, there's two compactors that we use for the garbage. And they're very old and we own them. And our mechanic has been fixing the diesel engines, and patching them up and putting new pistons in when they break, and they're really getting tired. I mean, almost every part of it is very worn. They are working still, but we're gonna need to, again, put something in our budget for, the idea is to replace one and then use the parts from the old one to keep the other one going. And then eventually replace the second one. And Royal Karting said they would help us, along those lines, tell us what will work good, where we could buy them, things like that. So, or maybe they'll give us one. I don't know.
Maybe they need to upgrade and we take their semi-used one, probably in better shape than the ones at the transfer station.
Yeah, but Jimmy and the boys up there take good care of them.
Yep.
They keep a close eye on it. That's basically all.
So Lois, what?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, that is one of the projects that I did put on, may possibly use in the fund.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yes,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So I hope to, next month, to report on almost all of these things as they move. And the air conditioning here, I'll call that guy tomorrow. We gotta act on that quickly. Yeah. Now that we got the figures. And one more question for Kyle. Sorry.
No.
I can't get it through my head. The prevailing wage when we do work is gotten so far out of hand from what we can actually get work done for. Good work from good people. That it's almost triple the amount we have to tax the taxpayer to get something done. And is there any relief that we can get from that? And any, I know you told us no, but I mean, where do you go? Do we go to the Association of Towns to talk about it, or?
Yeah, because it's, so prevailing wage, it's set by New York State Department of Labor. They're the ones that pretty much decide, and then, from what I understand, they do it based upon the region, the area.
Right, I read all that, yeah.
Oh, okay, so I mean, sure, I think, obviously, Association of Towns, because that's gonna be something that you have to lobby the state for.
Isn't there a avenue that if, say we wanted the roof done and the owner of the company is also the laborer, that we
Yeah,
don't
sole
have to pay
proprietor.
the sole proprietor. We don't have to pay prevailing wage.
If the owner of the, so you want the roof done, the owner of the company is it's a sole
Sole
proprietorship,
proprietor.
and he's the only one doing it, and you have a contract with him. As long as he's not hiring anybody to do it, he's
Right.
gonna do it himself.
So there's avenues of getting out of,
That's the only, that's one of them I
So,
can think of.
right.
But if he hires somebody,
Right.
and that guy he hires has to be paid prevailing wage, so if he's gonna do it all himself,
yeah.
yeah, I mean.
Like if we hired a plumber, sole proprietor, right, and he's doing the work,
Mhm.
we can.
Which we
don't
did
have to
for
pay, which
quite a
we
long-
did for years.
Yeah. I get if he's as a sole proprietor, if it's just a contract with him, you could probably get around it in that circumstance,
Mhm.
as long as that person's not hiring somebody else. Then he's paying his own.
If
A
this
lot of
is-
times with, I'm sorry.
No, no.
Sometimes what some municipalities have done is, especially if they're gonna require, like, you know what I see it often, like if they're gonna require like a playground or something like that, they'll have before they take the ownership of the playground, they'll have it built out by, whoever owns it prior, and then this way they can get around having to pay the prevailing wage. Now they
Yeah.
have to take it,
Mhm.
it's fine.
Sometimes it's also good to go off the OGS contract to look for,
This is- you get-
That's the purchase.
Kids on the
Yeah,
roof.
well, not,
You get somebody pays 60,000, somebody else pays 29. The guy that's bidding 29,
say for this.
Bobby, is that true? On roofs, like 60,000, 29. Guy,
26 and 60,000.
right, because of prevailing wage.
Yeah, well,
That big gap.
but both of them are gonna have to be, both of them are gonna have to be paying prevailing wage, so so it's not like. it's
No,
not-
I got a bid just from the guy was good enough to come. 84 years in business, family business. They have crews all over the county, 3 or 4 counties. And he did a drone thing and he gave me a price, solid price of $26,000 to do the roof on our building in Mapleton. And all the other bids, the 3 bids come in at 60 grand with prevailing wage. That's triple that the taxpayer has to pay to have the same roof done. And to me, that's highway robbery.
According to the Department of Labor, there is no sole proprietor or,
Oh, there isn't?
applies to Public Works, doesn't matter.
Yeah, that must be new because I've been dealing with that for years in my profession. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't.
No, I try to believe it.
It's in the town law book, I saw it.
Yeah.
Even if one person's doing the
There's
job,
no
it's
way.
public work, they must pay a document for that.
Okay. Enough on that.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I wish I had a better, workaround for you.
I know.
All right, well, moving on.
So if the town board, if we get together, we buy the shingles, we do the roof, and we don't charge any
Say we
labor.
just hired
Yep.
6 guys for 2 days.
That's it. Hire my brothers. I got 6 of them. So Killen Road, the wetlands application and updated road plans are going to be sent this week to AKRF for review. After their review, they will be sent to the county. The public hearing is going to be held on July 1st at the planning board meeting. And as Chrissy has said, mailers to notify the residents are going to be sent hopefully by week's end.
Yes, we already
Yeah.
have them enveloped up, we're just
Done.
doing addresses.
So then we'll talk about posting as well. That's going to be posted.
Yes.
Okay, good, excellent. So that takes care of Killing. Now, at the zoning board meeting was held on May 20th. I called the meeting to order at 6:30. There was one item on the agenda. 322 Valley Farm Road. They're asking for 2 variances to apply for a garage construction. So the 322 residence is the stone barn, as we know,
Yep.
down on Valley Farm. So there was a little concern about what the garage will be used for. The garage applicant is asking for an upstairs office. He's an attorney. This is a weekend home. Jacob Angel spoke on behalf of the applicant. They're going to use that for just basically his office, but nobody is supposed to be coming in, so it's not going to be used as a money-making opportunity for him. Unfortunately, they would have had a public hearing on that date, but due to a misunderstanding with the zoning board, the public hearing is now going to be held June 17th. So it's going to be a two-car garage with a bath upstairs. So two neighbors came, despite the fact that the public hearing was not held. They did talk, and one of them spoke, and she asked about excavation and also water usage, because her property is very near this, so she was a little bit concerned about her water supply being drained. Apparently, there would be no problem with that. So then the next neighbor, who happened to have been my brother, spoke and has no problem with this construction. So the meeting will, the public hearing and the motion to adjourn is for June 17th. Okay.
While we're talking about planning board, should we make it public about the little scam?
I got it in here.
You got it? Okay, good.
Okay,
Thanks, Joe.
you're welcome.
Okay, start with the planning board meeting. That was June 3rd. The first item on the agenda was Ray Gonzalez at Route 44, application for sign permit. Public hearing was opened with no comments. Resolution to approve sign permit pending, no comments from the county since they still had a few days in their comment period because of the way the calendar falls and the 30-day period hadn't ended yet. That resolution passed. The second item on the agenda was the Todd property at 3515 Route 82. Applying for site plan approval for addition to the house for elderly parents. Conditions of the site approval included additional erosion control during construction and that the residents remain a 3-bedroom house in perpetuity. Public hearing was open with no comments. Resolution to approve passed. The Singer property on Butts Hollow Road is a simple lot line change transferring 2.7 acres. Resolution to approve passed very quickly. The fourth item was Schmidt and Conway at 4413 Valley Farm Road, seeking site plan approval and a wetland permit for a 743 square foot addition where the house sits almost entirely in the wetland buffer. Changes were made to the initial plan to address stormwater runoff. There was discussion of how the New York State DEC law on wetlands applies to this property, with them asking permits have to apply to DEC now to see whether they want to take a higher hand. The applicant had actually applied to DEC and got a response of thanks for your application and we'll get back to you. With that being known, the public comment was left open until DEC has their full 90 days to get back to the applicant on whether or not they will have any comments. Howard commented that DEC law will supersede local law if they choose to. The next item on the agenda was Claudia and Frank Pisecki. Application for a lot line change, transfer of 1.3 acres, same owner, different parcels. Type 2 SECRA, public hearing was waived, resolution to adopt was approved. Public hearing on Calern Road was postponed till next month. The town of Stanford has sent notice of intent to be the lead agency on the construction project of the new boys dormitory at the Millbrook School. Planning board did not object to this. And then we got into a discussion of the board got into a discussion of fees and costs associated with the planning board. A couple of months ago, I started a conversation with Susan about legal costs, consultant costs, escrow costs. It piles up in a hurry. So after a lot of discussion back and forth, and I don't know when the current fees were set for the planning board. They were set by the town board. But the planning board we did have some ideas. They had some ideas. I keep saying we, I apologize. 2 members of the board are going to look at applications each month before the meeting to decide whether or not the consultant needs to look at them or whether they're simple projects to start with. Some of the working ideas include adjusting escrow fees, not based on cost of the project, but maybe the fees would be dependent on how much time it would spend in front of the board. That decision would be made after the first meeting. The initial fee would still have to be paid, and then after that first meeting, they would say, look, we're going to need X number of dollars put into escrow, or rather than $5,000 or standard $10,000. And then another item that was brought up was the possibility for the board chair to waive some of these fees. Some of these applications have already been hashed out in the zoning board, and then they're coming to the planning board afterwards, and it's a lot of times it's kind of a pretty quick process. But the way the fees are set up now, if the project costs more than $50,000, they're going to end up with $10,000 in escrow for a very simple process to get through the planning board. So it's kind of working ideas that probably come together over the next month or two. Then I will bring that back to the board to see if we can adjust the fees that are set in stone right now. Try to alleviate some of those problems. That was the extent of the meeting itself. Any questions on that before I? As of yesterday, we have had at least 2 residents that were applicants at last month's meeting got scam bills in their email. They are pretending to be from the town of Washington. From the town of Washington Planning Board, they are asking for $4,903.80. They have a list of charges with instructions to follow for a wire transfer. I asked the planning board secretary today, she is going to reach out to all applicants for the last couple of months just to give them a heads up so that they do not click on any links or pay any of these bills. I asked the girls in the office to post it to social media and the website to watch out for this, and to reach out to the IT guy to see if we can get some information on who accessed our information between the planning board meeting and Wednesday, because that's when the resolutions were passed, and they're referencing the resolutions and the passing of this stuff. So I think this information came in the last 9 days.
Should we notify the district attorney's office on this?
I don't know if the district attorney, I would notify probably the AG's office on something like that. That's probably. If they're not, they feel they're not the suitable agency, they'll let you know.
Because they replicated our letterhead, it referenced this government. It's complete fraud.
Yeah,
I would reach out to the AG.
Okay.
you send it to them. Maybe they can.
Yes.
I don't blame them. I mean,
They're exactly the same. If you look at the 2 that I looked at today,
Yeah, I only
the
saw
only
the
thing
one.
changed is the name. Somebody created it and then changed the name on the front of it. So that's unfortunate.
So, will you send it to, or who will send it to the Attorney General's office?
It probably should come out of our office.
So,
I can
yeah, we
research
can,
how to
like,
figure out how to do that.
send an email
Yeah.
and forward it and see what they can do.
I think that's what we did the last time that our whole system was
Yeah.
infiltrated. That's our
Yeah, we have a copy of, at least one of them.
Lisa has, Mr. Horton forwarded, his, and I'll reach out to Ray as well and have him, we have that. So we have Ray's and,
Yeah.
Horton's.
So,
So I have
so
at least
far
two.
it's just two.
I haven't talked to Lisa. She was gonna reach out to everybody this afternoon.
Mhm.
So I am assuming if they hit two of them from last month, they're gonna hit all six of them, seven of them.
And hopefully nobody's paid it yet.
I know Lisa did send the email today before she left.
So
To the,
We may find it's a result of being on Zoom, or somebody zooms in and tracks it, and we may not be the only.
Well, our planning board minutes are on our website.
And the resolutions are on the website. So I mean, all the information is there. It's not like anybody had to hack our.
And the Attorney General may say, oh, this is the third community that's notified us of this.
um,
Okay.
Scary,
Um, The Zoom thing, we're gonna table while we work on the law.
I did take a quick look at it while we were chatting, so I can give you some insight.
Perfect.
So, your video conferencing section, particularly 41.3, says the town board, hereby authorizes all members of the town public boards to participate in meetings using video conferences technology in a manner consistent with POL 103A. And if you go to POL 103A, that's the section that was passed that authorizes the video conferencing, and that does say it's in discretion. So the governing, let's see here, a public body may, in its discretion, use video conferencing to conduct its meetings pursuant to the requirements of this article. So I don't think your code now requires you to provide video conferencing. It just allows you to do it, and it clearly references 103A, which specifically says it's in your discretion. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you guys deciding to do something. The only thing is, if you do, because it does reference that there should be policies or procedures posted on the website. When I went to the website, I think it does, instruct folks what to do for that. So if you do decide to get rid of it, obviously you have to change it.
Okay, with that information then,
Do I have two of these?
I think we need to move forward with Video Ventures proposal. One, to discontinue the use of Zoom. Start with a recording of meetings to be posted to YouTube the following day. And probably with those meetings to be archived for 12 months. That's a round number.
When would it become effective?
Well,
That's what we posted.
So we've already posted it last month, we were discontinuing it.
Jim,
well, you said we may have to do
We
it
may,
one because of equipment, but
Oh, right.
so,
Jim, the village has always filmed their meetings. How long do you archive those minutes or those videos?
They're just permanent, over 4 years now. All I was there, it's been active.
And that's done for purposes of legal, Kyle?
Well, it's certainly encouraged. I don't think there's a legal requirement under OML to do it, but it's definitely encouraged. And right now, any town I work with has some, so they do either broadcast it live or they tape it and then it's available on YouTube. And what I've seen from all the towns is they never take those down. They're always down.
It's easy enough to keep them.
Yes.
you don't take ours down either.
No, perfect. We'll keep that same, we'll just leave
Legally,
it
I have to
forever.
just need the clerk's approved minutes to be kept,
Yeah, that's something, except, yeah,
and that's gotta be kept.
that has to be.
So the 3 hours at 100 per hour, what is that?
this is to change it to video or to,
I think that's the labor cost.
Oh, that's the labor.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, okay.
To switch to the recording.
to recording.
Oh. Okay.
So everybody's okay with this? I'd like to make a
Yes.
motion.
Do it.
Like to make a motion to discontinue the use of Zoom and to Video Ventures will purchase this equipment from Video Ventures as on this quote so that we can start recording all meetings to be posted to YouTube the following day.
So you're basically making this resolution. So you're making it and somebody was seconding it.
Thanks, Chrissy.
It's very
all right.
basic. Myself.
Alright.
That's fine.
We'll make the motion for this resolution number 003.
Second.
Second to that, Bob?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Alright.
Good.
Okay, last thing that I'm gonna just bring up quickly, because this just popped into my, I don't have it for distribution today, but I would love the town of Washington to consider passing a right to farm law. The county has one, a handful of towns across the county have them as well. What it does, in a nutshell, is it's gonna protect farms from nuisance lawsuits. It will, when somebody buys a piece of property that's within, I think, 500 feet of an existing farm, as part of the sale, they will be notified that they are within proximity to a farm, as long as it's enrolled in an ag district in the county, which almost all of them are in Dutchess County. I have a copy of the county's right to farm law, and I'll forward it to everybody so that we can all take a look at it, and then I will forward it to Kyle and see if we can move forward with something like that.
Sure.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Deidre.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
You've been so patient.
Well, yeah. Thank you for having me. I have a few things.
Yep.
Right to farm law, I noticed that on the town of Sanford's agenda for this month, they are bringing up the right to farm law, so you might want to use, there's the template, I don't know what it looks like, but certainly you can use it as a comparison, but I did see it on their agenda for this month. You were talking about the town pool. I have not personally been, but I spoke to Sandy Washburn, who used to be the head of county parks and is now the rec director in town of LaGrange. And she said that she went to Newburgh. Newburgh got a great New York State grant, and they've done a whole aquatic center. So it's just might be something you want to look at. Again, I haven't gone, but she said she was amazed by it.
We're gonna
So,
do site visits too.
okay,
Good.
so
Millerton too just got a grant from,
New York Swims.
and also the Community Foundation helped them.
Yep.
And I'm gonna take a ride.
Okay.
Me.
Yeah, right. I just heard the Newburgh one and I wrote it down as a note that I heard it's fantastic.
Mhm.
At our county meeting on Monday night, we passed resolutions to open 2 public hearings next month at our July meeting. The first one is for the ag district inclusion. Our county's Ag and Farmland Protection Board met. They reviewed properties, who people applied to be included this year in the Ag District 21. And so we'll be holding a public hearing on that in July for anybody who, wants to be included or doesn't want to be included. Our other public hearing will be on the Dutchess Community College budget. We fund, as a county, we fund 1/3 of the DCC budget. State funds 1/3 and their tuition funds 1/3. But that's a big nut for the county taxpayer. So we hold the public hearing on their budget, and Dutchess County is asking, community college is asking for a 0% increase this year, year over year, just mostly in anticipation of a large capital plan improvement project that they're going to be looking at. County funding some millions of dollars to do some building upgrades at the college. Really doing some Center for Business and Industry, some real big technologically improved programs at Dutchess Community College. So knowing that, they're asking for a flat budget, so obviously I expect that me and my colleagues will be approving that.
Roughly, what is the 1/3 figure? Do you have any idea?
I can't remember because their budget isn't out yet from year to year. I'll send it to you.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah, it's a large number.
I'm sure it is.
But I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I'll just write myself in there. The MIG grant, I know Danielle and I met, and Danielle put forth a great grant application. If you remember, when I came to you guys back earlier in the year, I had said that was one of my budget amendments on the floor during budget season, and it passed unanimously, and I spoke on the floor when I offered that amendment, how the town of Washington was in desperate need of a senior center. So, you know, fingers crossed. I've certainly followed up on the grant. I've reached out to a few of my colleagues in the county to make sure that they have the grant and it's being reviewed and that there are no obstacles to the grant as of this date. So fingers crossed that
Yep.
July, you guys get some really good news and that grant's approved,
Yeah,
because that would be a really big difference for that town camp building and just offering some senior programming here in
Yeah.
town. And then I just have a couple good news things. So, a grant that was approved for the Millbrook Library was for $15,000. It's a county-funded grant, and it is specifically for youth and youth programming at the library. There were a total of $250,000 awarded, and Millbrook Library got $15,000 of 14, one of the 14 grants.
Great.
Yeah, it's specific to purchase new toys and social play materials that will support 10 youth-focused programs throughout the year, and it will serve more than 650 children this year. And the intent and the goal of the grant is that it will at least 20% increase the use of the library for youth over the next year. So that's a great goal, and hopefully they see that goal, but it's $15,000. And then, as you probably all know, in 2026, we'll be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. So one of our budget amendments was to fund some historical societies to start rolling out Rev 250 celebrations, things like that. So we originally funded, I believe we originally funded $75,000, and we received such great response in our applications that we went back to the table in April, and we funded a total of $100,000 in grants. The Millbrook Historical Society was the only historical society to receive 2 grants. Everyone else received 1. The first one was for $5,000, and it is for the Nine Partners Meeting House, and to do some banners and things like that for the meeting house. And the second one was for $5,470, so over $10,000 in grants to the Historical Society, which, as you know, they're not well funded, so it's a huge amount of money. And they're going to be offering 2 different lectures, one on June 29th of this year, from 2 to 3, and it's going to be specific to, the lecture will be specific to Quakers and abolition. And the second one will be on July 27th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And it will talk about the architecture of the Nine Partner Meeting House and how it reflected at the time the local environment. So some really good money coming back into the district.
Yeah.
And I was proud to support these, and it's proud that we can offer those grants.
Right.
So,
Yeah, thanks for supporting that.
yes,
So,
thanks.
any questions? Eric, you have one? Okay. No.
I was here for the IMA discussion, so I should we gonna table that or what?
The what?
The IMA discussion. The IMA regarding the rebound.
Well, on the beginning, Peter
Wait
was supposed to
Peter, right?
come, right? And then he didn't come, so we're not
We'll
gonna
have
have
to
it.
put it off. We'll have to get together at another time. Howard?
No, nothing in particular. The CAC received the grant, you'll be receiving the information.
Got it.
from
You got it.
Yeah, it was good.
Howard, wasn't that a grant, a matching grant? Didn't we have to match the funds?
No,
Part of it.
Don't
Just a
believe me,
small-
don't quote me on that, Bob.
It was just part of it.
it's a very small
There was a
amount.
matching in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Small.
we had a set amount.
I thought it was like 5 and 5,
5,000.
and then we ended up getting 63 something from the.
Well, when you get the documents you have, you'll see it. I don't want to say one.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah. I think we only went.
We met a
five.
maximum of 5.
Even though they got more, we only go 5.
Right.
Yeah, they were awarded 8,700.
Yeah,
They gave us credit for an estimated value of volunteer hours.
Right,
700, so that was 5.
Anybody else have it? Because if not, we have to go into executive session, talk about personnel issues. Thank you. Yep. Pedro, for coming.
Yeah, anytime. It just worked out. I usually have a meeting the same night, so it worked out.
Oh, good.
Thanks for coming. Yep.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah. Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
The motion to pay bills, or is that after?